Hi and welcome back to my channel. If you have not seen part 1 of this series, I do recommend watching it real quick before continuing with this video because I am just going to jump right into these traditions. So I personally really love bridges. They're usually my favorite part of a song, if not the chorus. A bridge is the part of the song that is the centerpiece of the last two choruses. It usually has a different key, a different chord progression, which overall gives the bridge a different vibe or sound from the rest of the song. Whether the bridge sounds completely different from the rest of the song, or it sounds like a variety of the sounds used throughout the song with a variety of different other styles layered in. I personally have always depicted a song to be like a story, where the bridge is the climax before the falling action and the resolution, and the chorus before it is the rising action before the climax of the song, which again is the bridge. A bridge is almost the creative aspect of the song. It gives the writers and producers kind of a space to do whatever they want, to make it sound completely different from everything else, or to go a safer route and keep the bridge almost identical to the rest of the song, or to do what I've been saying, which is keeping the similarities of the styles and sounds used within the rest of the song while also inviting in newer ones to give it its own identity. I personally love whenever they really explore with the bridge. I love whenever it sounds completely different. I love when it's in a completely different key. I just love unique bridges. Nowadays though, I think it's been very popularized to not have songs with bridges. While there's still a lot of title tracks and B-sides that do have bridges, we are still seeing a lot of groups not include them, or if they do have a bridge, they will sometimes have it be an instrumental. One of the biggest examples I will always give for a bridge and a lack of bridge by the same group is ENHYPEN's Drunk Days, Given Taken versus Sweet Venom and Bite Me. ENHYPEN's Given Taken and Drunk Days are one of the most talked about bridges within ENHYPEN's discography, that is title track wise, and it is for a good reason. Both of these bridges are so beautifully constructed, so beautifully made. They both actually use aspects that I talked about earlier. While both of them have certain parts of the song used within the bridge, both bridges still have moments that sound completely different from the rest of the song that really give the bridges their own identity. And while Drunk Days is already an amazing song, the bridge is actually the reason why it is my favorite ENHYPEN title track to this day. But whenever it comes to Bite Me, while I've had many things to say about that song on my channel, Bite Me itself is not a bad song, but it definitely is a song that lacks in so many different ways, especially whenever it comes to other ENHYPEN songs. There are a bunch of reasons why Bite Me just sounds disconnected in many different parts, but one of the biggest reasons is because of a lack of bridge. The song kind of just ends, and while I love the instrumental part at the end of the song, they honestly could have used that part to make a phenomenal bridge. And while Sweet Venom does have a bridge, it's one of the bridges that I talked about earlier, with it being an instrumental and ending with lyrics at the very end that are pretty much the same melody as the hook or pre-chorus, and then it leads back into the last chorus. To me, this just falls flat because I personally am not a fan of heavily used instrumentals in songs. I definitely think that these songs are good examples of how impactful a bridge can be, but there's plenty of other songs that don't have bridges nowadays, and like I said, this definitely isn't a new topic. Bridges not being in K-pop songs has been a talk probably since last year, but with that in mind, just think of the fact that one of the songs that went viral last year not only had an amazing bridge, but the bridge part of the song went viral. Personally, to me, if a song doesn't have a really good chorus, sometimes I'm waiting for a good bridge to kind of win me over. So Girl Crush, as we know, has been around in K-pop for a really long time, with 2NE1 leading the concept during 2nd gen, and of course Blackpink popularizing the concept in 3rd gen, with many girl groups debuting with that concept, or groups who debuted before Blackpink completely changing their original concept to be Girl Crush. And the same thing has kind of happened with the Y2K or nostalgia-based concepts. While it has been around in K-pop for a very long time, NewJeans has arguably popularized the concept again, with many groups actually doing the exact same thing I said with the Girl Crush concept, either debuting with this concept, groups who had already debuted before NewJeans completely scrapping their original concept to be changed to the more nostalgia-based concept. And to further explain it, while this concept used to be a one-and-done thing where some people would release a title track that was nostalgia bait or Y2K bait, with the groups nowadays instead making the Y2K or nostalgia aesthetic their entire concept, it is definitely now becoming the most popular trend within K-pop without a doubt. And I actually have to say that even back then, whenever Girl Crush was slowly becoming popular, I was one of the K-pop fans who was actually getting really tired of the concept, because with the Girl Crush concept, there's not much that you can do. You can have a few girl boss lyrics with a dark aesthetic to your music videos, leather clothing, you know, kind of like a bad girl look, and before you know it, everybody who does this concept starts to really blend together and kind of look similar. The reason why I'm actually a lot more for Y2K and nostalgia-based concepts is because there is range within those concepts. Because Y2K and nostalgia are based on different eras, like of course Y2K is based on 2000s, and nostalgia is just based on any other era that came before. So I just think there's a lot more range within that you can use for a concept. You can literally choose to do a group concept or song from the 80s, the 70s, the 60s, the 90s, the 2000s, 2010s. So there's a bigger variety within that concept itself, which makes it a lot more fun and easier to digest than Girl Crush to me, because I really loved it whenever I first started seeing groups do Girl Crush. But like I said, as time went by, everyone just kind of started looking the same and sounding the same. I also have to admit that I actually really love that this new era has a lot of groups debuting with their natural hair colors, because not only do I just think it looks really cute, it's also just a lot more healthier. While I absolutely love the bright, colorful hairstyles, I do have an understanding that these hairstyles can be very damaging to not only the idol's hair, but also their scalp. I've heard too many idols talk about that their hair has started to feel like dry grass, like hay. And also a lot of idols have said that the excessive bleaching has dried out their scalps and caused it to bleed. I don't know about you, but that definitely doesn't sound healthy at all, and it sounds painful. I honestly think that these new eras should explore colorful lace wigs instead of constantly bleaching and dyeing the hair. And while a lot of people might be against wigs because of the amount of cheap wigs we've seen in K-pop, lace wigs not only look really natural, but it's actually affordable for a lot of these different companies. For companies that have a lot of money, lace wigs are probably not expensive at all. And even for the companies who might not have that much money, there are plenty of lace wigs that are actually not that pricey and you can actually find for a good price. Plus, wigs are nothing new in K-pop. We've seen plenty of idols wear wigs to hide their actual hair colors for comebacks. I thought about how I wanted to even bring this up, because it's technically not necessarily a tradition that's changed, because I mean they still have award shows. I think it's just how this tradition is now presented and viewed. And personally to me, as of a lot of other K-pop fans, award shows are not as enjoyable to watch like they used to be. I'm not too sure what it is. It's really just a feeling. And for anyone who might say, maybe it's because the groups that you once enjoyed watching aren't there anymore, I still have plenty of other groups that are at these award shows that I really like. I think the one explanation that I would give for this reasoning of why award shows aren't as good as they used to be is because the people over them aren't taking them as seriously anymore. They don't treat it like this huge event that takes place at the end of the year and the beginning of the year that marks huge moments for a lot of these K-pop groups. They kind of just throw up a show and do whatever. I mean, the amount of messy award shows last year were insane. There were so many things that went wrong with camera work. There were so many things that went wrong with idols who were literally sitting in the audience, not having tables set up properly, and more. I just don't know what's going on with the people who are running these award shows, but it just seems like there's a lot less effort put into it. Another reason is definitely because these idols aren't as responsive to other groups anymore because of the amount of fans who constantly ship any idol who looks in the direction of another idol. But I will have to say that the one award show last year that almost felt like the older award shows was the Mama Awards. There's so many really great performances. I was actually sat for a lot of those performances and really enjoyed them. This is another one that gets talked about a lot as well, and I completely agree with the complaints about K-pop choreo becoming TikTok simplified. K-pop is known for its intricate choreo for a reason, and while there are of course plenty of quote-unquote easy choreos in K-pop, even those easy choreos still have intricate parts within it that make them eye-catching. TWICE is a group that many people have deemed to have easy choreo upon first watch, but when you actually look at the choreo, there are so many intricate details within it that sometimes build a story to the lyrics that are being said. Now, I don't have an issue with a fun, easy choreo that can become a trend, but I do feel like a lot of these choreographers are forcing this agenda. This is very possibly being done at the hand of the companies. The companies might be asking these choreographers to simplify these choreos so that they're easier to do on TikTok. We've seen so many different TikTok dances within K-pop choreos. And like I said before, this isn't necessarily anything that's new to K-pop. They've always picked up on trends, even whenever it comes to the choreography. I remember like in 2017 and 2018, whenever the shoot dance was very popular in the West, it was in so many K-pop choreos. One in particular that is very well known throughout K-pop is the group Pentagon's use of the dance within their choreography for the song Shine. Also, Momoland's Boom Boom includes the popular dab dance within the choreography, which was another dance trend that was very popular in the West. So like I said, nothing new. The K-pop industry is always going to ride trends, especially if they're popular in the West. But still, the amount of K-pop groups that are just standing in one place and doing some type of arm or hand movement is insane. Even if a group includes footwork, it's always the footwork that remains in one place to make it easier to do in front of a phone. There's not too many clever ways to switch the members' positions within the choreo, and there's not too many groups who are building a story within their dance. Sometimes the dancers are very disconnected from the song itself. I do believe that K-pop dances don't necessarily need to be level 10 difficulty to be good, but having a bit more creativity would be nice. I really miss whenever groups would just put out their title track and then later on release a music video for their promoted B-side. Nowadays, there's so many groups, almost every group has like a pre-release and then their actual title track. And even some companies take it as far as to put out 2 to 3 pre-releases before actually releasing the title track. And a lot of these companies won't even clarify what's the title track and what's not the title track. But since so many people are used to the title track dropping before the pre-release, a lot of people get confused and start judging the pre-release as if it's the title track. But there's a lot of groups who are also having pre-releases before their debut. I get it's supposed to be like a release to give you a feel of what's to come. Like, isn't that what teasers are for? before I say anything, I know a lot of people are going to say K-pop has always been focused on the West, and yes, they definitely have, but I do feel like nowadays that they are pushing a lot more for the West than they used to be, and I think it just comes down to the fact that they feel like they have more of an opportunity nowadays than they used to because of BTS and Blackpink's success in the West, but also because New Jeans' success in the West. So I definitely feel like nowadays in the K-pop industry, the West is viewed as the overall goal. Not to mention the fact that Bang Ji-hyuk has also talked about removing the K out of K-pop, and I've already talked about my stance on that in one of my unpopular opinions videos, but him saying that he wants to do that is obviously because he wants his groups under HYBE label to have more success there instead of being put into K-pop categories in the West, which, let me tell you, doesn't matter if you remove the K, it still will be under K-pop because they are K-pop artists. It doesn't matter if you completely remove the Korean out of K-pop, your artists are still Korean, which is quite obviously the reason why we've seen so many global groups, and also just the rise in foreigners who can speak English within K-pop. So the push is there, and I am certain that it's only going to get worse and worse as time goes on. And I don't really know where I stand anymore. I used to be so completely against it, but nowadays I think I'm just neutral. I think I have two thoughts. That first off, the people in America are never gonna let K-pop artists be on top. While of course BTS and Blackpink are successful, there's a reason why BTS has not won a Grammy yet. You know, there's reasons why Jimin's song got knocked out of the Billboard Hot 100, and it really sucks because it's obvious racism, but it's just one of those reasons of why that as of right now, America will never let K-pop get as big as it is now. Of course, it's always going to grow and build a bigger fandom, but in terms of awards and a lot of other things, I think that those things are going to be a little bit harder and maybe even take a little more time for K-pop to break into because of how America runs its whole industry, whether that be film or music. But I also just don't think that K-pop will ever stop trying to have success in the West. These companies do not care about anything but money, and they deem the West as a prize. But that is all for this video. I will be having a part 3. Please let me know all of your opinions. I would really love to read them, and thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please give a like and subscribe. I hope everyone has an amazing day. Bye bye.